Still on there. Okay. If you notice a little bleep there for a second, that was caused by me because I hit the wrong button. So hopefully we didn't lose anybody on that. It was only for a second. Um, so who's all here? And hi everybody. And can everybody see us and everybody hear us and everything okay? So New Quilting Life with Janice is here. Hello, Janice. G&B is here.
Oh, she retracted her message.
Oh, maybe she realized she had written hell. Hello, whatever. Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Good to see you. It's been a while. Marie made it. You made it, Marie. I guess your alarm went off. And Laura's here. Patsy's here. And Jeannie's here. Hi, Jeannie. And Judy is here. So we'll give everybody a few seconds here to get in on here. Laura says she can see and hear us. That's good. Good. It always helps. Makes it for a much better live when you can see and hear us. But you know, you never know what's going to happen with technology, do you?
Yeah, we all know that in Canada.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you or those of you in the States probably don't know about this, but I guess on what, Saturday or Friday? Friday, one of our major internet and television and telecommunications companies, Rogers, went down for most of the day and created a great deal of havoc for businesses and individuals and people who do work online.
Most places, all the debits went down.
Yeah.
And sorry, yeah, raspy here. Some places debit, and we have something called Interact in Canada, where you can do electronic payments from one bank to another or something, and all that service went down.
Yep.
So,
and we're on Bell, so it didn't really affect us. But Rogers, in our opinion, we years and years and years ago, we used to deal with Rogers, and Rogers was horrible for their customer service and everything else. And now they're saying they're going to compensate for the downtime, but I don't know how much they're going to do with that. I wouldn't trust Rogers to compensate anybody for it. It took them over 4 hours to even make a public statement about the problem. They just let everybody stay there hanging. And you know, in this day and age, some people say, well, we're too reliant upon our internet connections and everything. You can't avoid it. Your television, your phone, your cell phone, everything is on those services now. It is no longer a luxury item. It's a necessity if you want to stay in touch with other people in a variety of formats. So, and I guess what did you just say it? I spaced out for a minute when you were talking about that what they gave as the reason.
Yeah, they didn't really give us a reason. They just sort of said, I did read somewhere that it was supposed to be a computer update or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true.
But the problem is too, these companies all put their stuff out to third parties to do it, and they're all offshore. They're not in the country with it, and they don't test things.
Yeah, I know. But even if our internet provider is Bell, specifically for our home. But Rogers, I guess what happened is there's some big banking networks that are around, and they were all hosted on Rogers, and that meant any business, a lot of businesses, any business couldn't process debit transactions anywhere in Canada because they were all on Rogers. So
yeah, so people had to use that old-fashioned way of paying for things.
Like I went to a grocery store that's local. Some places were accepting cash or credit, but at the grocery store I went to could only accept cash. That's probably because their credit system was also on Rogers.
Yeah, so and if people were trying to phone other people, even though they weren't on Rogers, they were like, well, we are on Bell.
Yeah, I know anybody that had a Rogers connection for cell phone or a telephone connection couldn't phone anybody.
And you know, the thing is, they didn't seem to have a backup system.
Yeah, I know. See, I worked in computer systems for a long time, and if it was a computer computer systems get updated at big companies all the time. And when I worked for a company, I worked for the government. We would, whenever we did an update, even a very major update, we did. We had to have something called a backout plan, which meant that if for some reason the update went through and it wasn't working properly, we would be able to roll that backup, roll that update back so that it would go back to the previous version and everything would be okay. But a lot of companies cheap out on that because it costs money to do a backup plan, right? And so to me, it sounds like whoever, if Rogers does their own updates or if they outsource it to another company to do the updates, whatever happened, they didn't have any backup plan in case something went wrong.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you were a client of Rogers, I'm sure you would be, especially if you were a business client of Rogers.
Yeah, because a lot of businesses were losing a lot of money.
Yeah,
yesterday.
like that, because, you know, people were coming in and we're so used to paying for everything with a credit card or a debit card. And if you have to use cash, well, depending on the size of your purchase, you may not actually carry that much money around. I don't carry that much money around with me anymore because, you know, since COVID, we all got used to doing, you know, touchless transactions using our credit card or debit cards. So,
well, yeah, you know what happened with, the grocery store I was talking about has their own proprietary credit card system. And that group may have been going through Rogers. So that I went to the beer store and I was able to buy beer because their credit system was working okay. But I actually went to a bank. Beer. I actually went into.
Thank God you could buy
and
beer.
I actually went over to my bank and was able to withdraw some money, cash money from the automated banking machine. But some of the banks, my bank probably wasn't dealing with the Rogers system, but some of the banks might have been dealing with the Rogers system. And there was apparently some banks where you couldn't withdraw money from.
Yeah. So just let's just see how much we are reliant upon technology. And when it goes down on something like this, it's crippling almost with it all. So it's going to be interesting to see what Rogers does as compensation, how they're going to do that. I have a feeling it's not going to be money compensation. I have a feeling somehow they're going to add extra time to a plan or something. Who knows what they're going to do.
We have quite a bit of...
Yeah, I know we do, but you wouldn't shut up, so I couldn't read that yet.
All right.
So let's just back up here and see.
Oh, yeah, telling me to shut up. You're the one that normally yaks too much.
Now, we're not going to have a little domestic because you're wrong. So let's see here. What were people saying? Patsy says it's way too hot to be outside. And let's see. Barb's here. Hi, Barb. Amy's here. Hi, Amy. Hello, I'm new here. Not sure how I found you, but I've really been enjoying watching your past videos. Okay, well, great, Amy. We're glad you are and glad you're here. Wendy's here. Hi, Wendy. Patsy's alarm went off and woke her up. Okay. Oh, Fidel's here. Hi, Fidel. Derek's here. Hi, Derek. Sewing with Luane is here. Laura, I couldn't work on Friday because of the outages with Rogers. All of our computer systems were affected by loss of the internet. Yeah, that wouldn't be... Well, you got a long weekend then, Laura. Maybe. Patsy says, horrors. Can't imagine how we will function when the cloud falls. Yeah, true. Colleen says, hi there. I'm not with Rogers, thank goodness. Yep, that's a good thing. We're not with either, obviously. We're with Bell. Donna's here. Hi, Donna. Derek says, I think the internet outage even made the news on the BBC News website the other day. Yeah, jeez. Well, at least they're infamous now. Not probably the way they want to be. Hi, Cheryl. Marie said she hadn't heard anything, but I'm from the States and also haven't read the news. Yeah.
Well, you might not have heard it in the States.
Yeah, because, I mean,
You don't get our weather either.
No,
So
so yeah, yeah, this is not unusual. I swear most Americans don't realize that beyond the 49th parallel, there's a whole country. Every time we go to the States and we'll look at a weather map, it cuts it off at the 49th parallel. We're lucky if we even get a little outline of Canada. So yeah. Um, let's see. Hello, Needlesmith. Thanks, Marie. Yeah, don't forget to give us a like. We want your likes. Oh, Sue. Hello, Sue. I think Sue is new. From Jefferson City, Missouri, watching while free motion quilting the border on a picnic quilt for my niece's bridal shower. And Suzanne's here. Hi, Suzanne. And then Sewing with Luann Wayne says, makes you wonder how did we survive before 1980 and the computer cable? Not true,
Yeah.
but we did. But once you've got it, hi Jeannie. Once you've got the technology, you can't go backwards, right? Once we're used to stuff, I mean, think about it. How did we used to do our laundry in the 1950s? Wringer washing machine. That was, a nice newfangled invention. Well, I think they had wringer washing machines before the 1950s, but as compared to what we use now, or the fact that most homes now have dishwashers as well, which were considered back in the 60s. I remember when friends of mine that lived next door to my grandmother, they got a dishwasher and we all stood around and looked at it. And it was one of those ones top loading, that you rolled over to your sink, if you remember that, if you're of that age, and attached to the hoses to your tap. It wasn't like it was a built-in one. And now, well, we just got a new dishwasher, as you know, because we couldn't live without one. I mean,
yeah, and I like the way the phones work now. Everybody has a phone in their pocket and everything else, and kids nowadays wouldn't know how to survive with that.
No, kids don't know. Kids today, like kids in like elementary, middle school, don't really know what a CD is or a DVD. Show them a Walkman. Whoa, there's vintage technology.
Or like a cassette tape or anything like that. Kids don't know that anymore, and even CDs and DVDs, as you said, they don't know what that is.
In fact, I used to do this with my high school kids. I brought in an old 8-track, if and most of you would remember 8-tracks, and I just hold it up and say, "What's this?" First thing came out of their mouths was, "Isn't that an old style game cartridge?" The kind of a thing. Nope. And most of them now, sometimes a kid would get it, but a kid says, "Yeah, my uncle had one of those in his car or something. They played music or whatever."
Well, actually, for the most part, technology has been actually pretty good as far as reliability is concerned. But so when something like this big happens, like this big company has a problem, then it's like a really wakening up of how much we rely on the technology.
Well, yeah, we take it for granted. It's just part of our everyday life, Like every day, once I get up, I've showered, got my morning coffee, I come down to this room, and first thing I do is I turn on my computer.
Yeah, I mean, when a big company has something this big happen, to me, there's a problem in the way the company organizes stuff.
Yeah.
So that if they had an outage, it probably shouldn't have been much more than an hour or two, but not like a whole day or something.
No. And Barb says kids today can't read an analog clock. That's true. That's true. I mean, I remember when I was in elementary school, we learned like grade 1 or something how to tell time, or even in kindergarten. And if you say to a kid today, I'll meet you at 3:30, they look at you like, 3:30 what? What's that? What time's that?
Yeah, and kids nowadays also, a lot of them don't know how to use read cursive writing either.
No, they don't, because they don't teach cursive writing in school anymore.
So our major airport in Toronto, there's for I think the where you pick up the luggage. Yeah. There's a big sign, and it's all in cursive writing. Yeah, it's all in the neon lights, but it's in cursive writing. And you remarked when we were coming out of the airport once that, uh-oh, half the kids won't
be able to read it. I mean, I wrote on my whiteboard. We don't have chalkboards in school anymore. They're all whiteboards and stuff like that. And I think I did some cursive writing. Now, this is for high school kids, right? And I did a capital Q. And they had no idea what that letter was or what I was writing. And I said, that's a Q. No, it's not, sir. I said, yeah, that's how you do a Q in what's called cursive writing. You know?
Yeah, even when I was working 4 years ago, we had a guy in that was like 28 years old, and I had written something in cursive writing on a note, and he looked at it and he goes, "Oh, I can't understand that."
Yeah, it's might as well be Arabic.
You know, because they all print if
Yeah.
they do write something down.
Well, yeah, even that, they don't even bother the kids in school because they're too used to using keyboards. And this was last month, I had been retired for 10 years. And my friends that are still teachers, the technology has changed in teaching in 10 years drastically. The kids all have laptops. Everything is geared. You have to have a laptop in one school they use Google books or whatever they call them, because everything's online. The teacher puts the notes, their handouts, everything is online. The kids download it or look at it online. Cuts back on their photocopy budget, I'm sure, for that, because I used to photocopy a lot of stuff for handouts for the kids and that. So now they have all of that. They're used to PowerPoint presentations, and I'm dating myself because they probably don't even use PowerPoint. It's probably something else. Well, Google Docs has their own version of all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that was the kind of school that I wanted. I dreamed that someday I'd be teaching in would be like that. And I missed it just by a couple of years. It was just as I retired, we were really going into all of that then. So now they're completely into it. Now, of course, when the internet went down, well, the kids are on summer holidays, so it wouldn't affect them for that. Would for summer school.
Says Stephen, do you remember Gestetner machines?
Oh my God. Let me tell you about Gestetners. When I went to Teachers College, picture it, 1980, we had to take, as in Teachers College, I had to actually take a course in how to use the technology in the classroom. Technology in the classroom was how to make copies of things. Now, this was before photocopiers were being used in schools. Okay. In fact, in 1980, the photocopiers that were out there were crap. They printed things on shiny paper, the Xerox, you call it Xeroxing, this kind of thing. So we had to learn how to make handouts using a Gestetner, using a ditto machine, using something called a thermal fax machine. And you were shown how to change colors. And it was big. For a Gestetner, you actually cut a stencil. And if you're not familiar with what a Gestetner was or how it worked, you had this big piece of, paper that had like an overlay in a sort of a tissuey paper. You put it in your typewriter and you would type on it, and it would cut holes into this paper. And then you would lay this on a big drum, and the drum had an ink thing in it, liquid ink. And you basically had a crank, or some of them were electric, and the big drum went round. Think of an old style printing press idea. And it squeezed the ink through the holes that you had cut with your typewriter, and that's what made, and the paper went through it, and that's what printed on your paper. But if you made a mistake in your typing, you couldn't white it out. So there was a method you could use. There was this masking fluid you could get to put on the hole that you had made, fill it in, let it dry, and then you tried to line it back up in your manual typewriter or your electric typewriter and recut the thing again. And of course, it never worked for it. And then ditto machines were a little bit easier. They were done with alcohol, and it turned out that was carcinogenic, so they stopped doing that. And you ran this paper through. You did the same thing. You typed up on it. It was basically a piece of carbon paper, and you typed up whatever you're typing up. It went on a drum on it, and you cranked it, or it was electric, and this alcohol would spread across it and lift the carbon off the backing, that paper that you'd put it on, and it would create your copies. But they were only good for about 200 copies before they'd start to really fade. So if you want to make more than 200 copies, or you want to use it, say, from semester to semester, from year to year again, eventually over time they just faded out, and you ended up having to retype them up. And if you made a mistake on one of those, you took a razor blade and you scraped the carbon off. You took an old diddle you had, and you used some of the carbon paper that was on it and cut out a little piece, lined up on there, and then retyped what you did. Only I used to cheat. I used to use whiteout. You could use whiteout on them, and it sort of worked, sort of didn't. But and then they had these thermal fax machines, which were based upon if you did something in carbon, like in pencil, or certain pens had a carbon base, you could, or your typewriter, you could make your master copy, and then it went through and it used heat to actually produce a stencil that you could then put into either into a diddle machine, the spirit machine, and run off your copies from that. But half the time it never worked.
Half the people are talking about how much they like the smell of them.
Oh yeah. The kids, as soon as when I was in school and they had diddle machines and that, the teacher would come in with a big fresh off the press, and everybody would be going, putting them over their face and going, inhaling this stuff. And the kids did that too. I think that was why they got rid of it, for one thing, and figured out it was carcinogenic, or that the kids were getting high on it. But yeah, that was modern technology, right? We've come a long way since that, in not all that long a time. So what are people saying here? What's that thing?
Okay, Patsy said, yeah, okay.
Needlesmith, they had a portable dishwasher when they got married in 76. Colleen is, I'm doing a binding race as I watch and one just. I don't have a dishwasher, just a dishpan and a cloth. And Marie says same thing for her, dishwasher. I never had a dishwasher and I raised 8 kids. Yeah, my mother had a dishwasher for a while, and she couldn't be bothered to use it, so she kept cookbooks in it. Sewing with Luane says, in another chat, we mentioned how kids today don't realize we had to learn how to cook at a young age, as we didn't have, or most people didn't have, a microwave oven to cook food quick. Well, yeah, I didn't grow up with a microwave.
I did.
Well, you had an affluent family. The Dutch and microwaving. The two
My
go
parents
together.
got one of the first, it was an Amana radar range.
Yeah, that was always on game shows. They were always giving away Amanda radar range. And I always wondered what a radar range was, but it was just a microwave.
Yeah.
It was just a funny name for it. Like, it would seek and destroy.
Yeah.
So what else, people? I'm just trying to catch up here on what people are saying. Needlesmith said, I had to teach college grad paralegals to type on an IBM Selectrix to type 3 copy court forms. Yeah, I always wanted a Selectrix.
Yeah, when I first started working in 1978, if I had to write a memo, I would have to write it out in longhand, give it to the secretary. She would type it up. She'd give it back to me. I'd edit her typing. Then I'd go back to her and she'd type it up again. And then if she still had some mistakes, we did a little whiteout or something like that. And then she would carbon it and stuff like that. And then I'd have the carbon and send the memo out to whatever manager I needed. Or I could take it to the photocopier, which had that shiny, crappy paper in it.
Yeah.
Right?
That.
And I had to get special permission to photocopy because it was expensive to photocopy. So however many copies I needed, I had to ask to produce it. So
well,
it would took forever to write a memo. So
yeah, so a secretary's dream was we're blurring.
Mm.
Something's going on with our connection. We don't have Rogers.
Yeah.
But on the monitor, I see that we are blurring a little bit. Sorry, people. That's not us. That's the internet. So sorry. It should clear up, I hope, in a second, if you're seeing that, what we're seeing. Anyways, yeah, I'm sure secretaries were very happy when offices start to use word processors. And that would have been a godsend.
Yeah, I remember the first word processors that the secretaries got took these great big 10-inch floppy disks.
Okay, just a quick question here. Are we looking a little blurry to anybody? Because I'm looking at this on my iPad and supposedly seeing what you see, and we're looking a little fuzzy. But everything else here at our end is not. So just ask and see. Nothing I can do about it, but hopefully maybe you're not seeing it the same. Anyway, so that reminds me of an old joke. How can you tell when a blonde's made a mistake on her word processor?
There's white out on our screen.
Yep. And although that's a joke, that actually has happened. When the first time they got word processors out, somebody put whiteout on the screen thinking they could create a correction that way. Don't work that way. So just looking down here, Derek says, I love it when my classes get scheduled for the lecture theaters in the physics, maths, or chemistry buildings, as they still have massive chalkboards you can write and draw on. Well, they got out of, in our province anyways, they got rid of all the chalkboards in all the elementary and secondary schools because apparently the little darlings were allergic to chalk dust. And it was harmful to them. They were breathing it in. And we got the stupid whiteboards, which those markers never lasted more than a sentence. And they were a bitch to keep clean, and you had to go over them all the time. And I hated whiteboards. I really liked writing on a chalkboard. I really did. Hi, Sobecca. Just looking down here. Yeah, mimeograph machines, Patsy, were Gestetners. Gestetner was a brand name for it, and I think mimeograph was the generic name for them. What else people saying here? I'm just trying to go down. Get my cursor working. Oop. Wow, Laura says, technology has changed so much since 1980. You both had seen many technological advances in your careers. So what are you suggesting, Laura, that we're old?
Yeah, actually,
we are.
My first mainframe computer that took up a whole room had 64K internal memory in it. So...
Well, my summer job while I was at university was working for a company, and I was in inventory control, and they had a portable computer. It was this great big huge box that was on wheels, but it sat in one room, and you had these huge floppy disks. I think they were 10 inches or something.
Yeah.
And you key punched in all the data at a terminal. Then you physically had to take that out, put it in the other computer, and it would get processed overnight onto their data tapes, because they had those things, you see them in old movies, the looks like a giant tape recorder.
Well, we used those data tapes for years and years and years, even up until the early 2000s.
Yeah, well, there was something about them though. They held more, didn't they?
Yeah, no, I held a lot of data, and you could store. The tapes were inexpensive, and you could store them, from year to year. But what happened with the tapes is that every so many months they had to be rewound, because the data would print on the next layer if you didn't do that.
Derek says, I think the Gestetner was similar to a Banda machine in the UK in the 80s. Primary schools did all their worksheets on them, and the ink was pale purple and stank of alcohol. Actually, I think what you're describing, Derek, is what we referred to as ditto machines, because they used spirit alcohol to dissolve the carbon and put it on to make the copies, whereas Gestetners actually used ink. with them. Like they were actual liquid ink, like the kind of thing that they used to use on old-fashioned printing presses. You know, they'd smooth it over it, but this did it automatically. So Becca says, warm, rounded paper, smelled great. Okay, a lot of druggies out there. And Sewing with Luwenda says, did you know a monkey's mother invented the whiteout? Mike Nesman's a monkey's mother did. Yeah, I did know that, but something I saw at one point in time said that that's an urban legend. That it wasn't her name. Her name was Nesman, but she was not the mother to Mike Nesman of the Monkees. But I'm not absolutely sure on that. There was something I read once, so I don't know what's true or not. Because that's what I thought too. I read earlier before I got this other thing that, yeah, she was the mother to one of the Monkees. Okay.
Barb, the microwave oven my parents had was a good size. It was like what would be considered a large microwave oven now, but it wasn't massive.
So nobody's getting blurry.
No.
But I'm getting blurry on my iPad.
So it's coming through our network.
It's through our network that way because, well, the actual ones that we're looking at and the YouTube one are all clear. So, okay, well, good. As long as I can live with that on my iPad, as long as it's not blurry for everybody else. M says he doesn't really understand all the references. You mean to the references to the technology we're talking about? This may be something that was more, in our area than it is in other parts of the world. I don't know. And he says, do you guys remember Wang computers? It was one of the first word processing probably didn't do anything else.
Yeah, there was some logo they had. I can't remember something. Do it with a Wang.
Do it with a Wang.
The old computer companies always had some catchy little saying to it when.
Yeah. And were the first word processors, they had the screen for
them? A lot of IBM came up with a word processor and the screen was turned sideways. And I forget, it was a display writer or something like that.
Yeah. So they were long. They were long and tall.
And they took 10-inch floppy disks.
Yeah.
Because that's the first ones that our administrators got.
And Anna says, love cleaning the erasers outside. Oh, yeah, banging them against the wall of the school. Yeah. Breathing in all that chalk dust? Yeah. Carcinogenic, probably.
Yes. Needles Best. Yes, when I first started working on my 64K computer that took up a whole room, I used to have to key punch everything into, card decks. Card decks. The computer programs are all on card decks, and I had to wheel them into the computer room, and then they'd compile it into an object deck, and the object deck had to be fed.
I did key punching. Yeah. There was a day from my high school. We went to the University of Waterloo, which in those days was considered one of the top universities in Canada for computer technology and stuff. And they took us in and they let us do a little program and key punch it all in and the whole bit. And we got to keep our cards afterwards.
But actually, it was funny because the object decks would have sequence numbers punched into this back of the last I don't know, 6 or 7 digits of it. And occasionally a computer operator would drop the whole deck.
52,000 pickup.
And they could run it through a sorter and sort them all into the right order again, except for a couple of the cards, and they would get into the wrong position.
Well, after there were so many of those key punch cards around after they sort of got rid of the key punching, people were making Christmas decorations out of them.
Yeah.
You could make Christmas wreaths. I think I made one. I got a bunch of those cards and then you spray painted them. So another use for key punch cards, kind of a thing. Anna was a computer programmer since the 70s.
So she knows about that.
Yeah. And Needlesmith says, I'm so old, I used to use a teletype machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Donna. Barb says, put down the beer, Stephen. Why? Oh, blur. Yeah, okay, funny.
I graduated to 5-inch floppies. That's right.
Oh, Billy's here. Hi, Billy.
Then 3-inch, 3.5-inch discs and floppies and.
Yeah, and Kathy Patterson says, "Hi, Kathy. I used all of those machines, but by 1977, the teachers had access to a photocopier for the first time. Number of copies was controlled." Oh yeah, we went through all of that when photocopiers came in, and then it was always a budget thing, and they tried to limit us, and then they had a code that you had your own personalized code, and it kept count of how many copies you had made, and when you hit your limit, you couldn't make any more, so teachers were stealing other people's codes.
They did that at where I worked too, is that we had a code. Nobody was supposed to know. Actually, when I first started working with the government, only the administrators, only the secretaries could do photocopying, and you were supposed to submit the photocopy to the secretary or the administrator, and they would do the photocopy for you, but you had like a 24-hour turnaround for photocopies. So what happened is they stole the key number, and you went out and did your own photocopy. So.
And Barb says, then we graduate to 5-inch floppies. Oh yeah, then 3.5-inch discs and the whole bit. Things got smaller and smaller. Marie was in high school when we went from manual to IBM Selectric typewriters. Yeah, that's where I saw them too. But they had a classroom, a typing room that was nothing but Selectrics in my high school. But you had to be in the senior grade for typing to be able to use those. I always thought they were so cool. I always wanted one. And you could pop out the ball and get different scripts too. But they were like high tech in those days for that kind of stuff. Luane says her name was Betty Nesmith Graham and was the inventor of liquid paper in 1956. But was she really the mother to Mike Nesbitt? I know that that's who invented liquid paper, but I'm still not clear as to whether or not it actually was true that she was a monkey mother. Yeah, Barb, that's right. The changing the ball for different fonts. I have a desk with a hidden place for typewriters. That's how old it is. Yeah.
M says he's 35 and from a different background. So everything you talked about is
confuses me. It's not because you're from a different background. It's because you're 35. You're just a child. I mean, you are. You are. Okay, if you're 35 and this is 2022, you were born in the late 90s. You don't know a world without internet. You don't know a world without personal computers. You don't know a world without cellular telephones. So yeah,
I remember my boss walking into my office in 1980 and saying, I just heard they invented this phone that you can carry around with you, right? And it's only the size of I forget, it was like a big. He said it was a big sort of like.
Well, yeah, they were a big chunky thing,
chunky one, and he says, "Well, that's great. It's actually a phone that you can just carry around with you."
Yeah. Well, my dad had a portable phone, but it was the bag phone. It was this bag and it sat on the hump of your car, which again...
We had one of those.
Yeah, and it sat on... What, did we?
Yeah, we had a bag phone. I don't remember we had the first one, or a bell phone.
Oh.
And I had the... that's in... when I had the 1989 Honda Accord, I had the bag phone. It was a flat thing. It was like this big.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Forgotten all about that. Jeez. Yes, and we thought we were just executives. Yeah. Cool. Ooh, look, we have a phone in the car. Wow. Kind of thing. Derek says, I recall our secretaries all had problems moving from typewriters to word processors, had to keep replacing keyboards as they still typed really hard and their nail varnish came off between keys. I didn't know about that, but
yeah. I worked in an office that they still were allowed to smoke in, and all the ashes would fall in between the keyboards. And so they turn them upside down and bang them on the desk to get rid of the ash out of the keyboards.
And Derek says, students now don't understand what the icon for saving a file in some software is. They've never used a 5-inch floppy disk, so that picture's totally alien to them. Yeah, that's true enough. Hi, Teresa.
She made Christmas wreaths out of computer punch cards.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. Yeah, little gold spray. They were all the craze. Everybody had them. Yeah, I remember that. Kids today will never know the screeching sound of AOL dial-up. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, aren't we just a bunch of old farts?
Yeah.
Talk about
poor M doesn't know what.
Yeah, poor M is like just a kid, you know, with all this stuff. So,
how do we get on that topic?
I don't know. We just went down. Well, we do what we usually do, go on a tangent. So, anyways, I was going to show you what I've been working on. Not high tech, but let me just switch over to that screen and show this to you. So here's it's not quite finished. I just took it off of Lucy, the long arm, this afternoon. I did all the quilting on it. But this is that little twister. I was talking about it before. Use this special little ruler to make those shapes. I'm telling you, I'm not making another one because it was kind of tedious. There's 196 3.5-inch squares that eventually get cut down to 2.25-inch squares and finish at 2 inches to make all of that. And that white that you see there, it doesn't show up very well on that, but that's all tiny little pieced together squares too. It's not like just big strips with it all. So it's now quilted. I got to put the binding on it, and I got to add a bow to it, and it's done. So I don't know if it's going to be a gift for anybody at Christmas this year, or whether I'm just going to use it as a decoration myself. I'm tempted just to keep it for myself because after the amount of time I've spent on this, I mean, it's not hard, but it's a little bit on the tedious side to do it. So let me get out of that. And over here. And back to us. There we go. So anyways, that's all I've been doing. I did put a couple of, I have some Christmas fabric that I've layered, and I just did an overall edge-to-edge quilting design on because I'm going to make a Christmas bag, maybe a couple of them out of it, but I want them to be quilted, so I just did that, and then I'll cut them and sew them, and I think I might add some embroidery to them as well. I'll see. Like, just in case Walter never gets around to the commission, to the request for Christmas bags.
Yeah, no, I won't get around to it.
Right. How are those shorts coming that you were making? Yeah, they're not done. So what are they? Thanks, Laura. Billy started with a Commodore 28 with a tape drive, then upgrade to a 64 with a game cartridge. Yeah, I went through the Commodore days too. Yeah, you could put some lights on it. Actually, there's a company, you've probably heard of them. They're called Kimberbell. They're really quite trendy. They do a lot of in the hoop embroidery designs, but they do a lot of pillows and things. But they have these little sets of lights that somehow you sew them in to whatever you're creating, and they will light up and do kinds of things. So you could do that. Yeah.
I'm not sure what that refers to.
What?
Anna says Bluetooth
icon combo of Nordic runes for H&B, which referred to King Harold Bluetooth. He apparently used the different track. Oh, you mean the icon for so okay, you know, the Bluetooth icon is the line with the thing on the side, and so what Anna's saying is that those are based upon Nordic runes for the letter H and the letter B combined together. Okay. And refers to King Harold Bluetooth. Oh, okay. Didn't know that. That is a new. I've never heard that. Are you making this up, Anna? Are you taking us for a ride? Sounds logical. Yeah, it is poinsettias in the background, Laura, with that. So, anyways, just a couple of notes. International Stitch Marathon is coming up on July the 22nd. 12 hours of hilarity. I don't know. There's about 10 of us or so that are co-hosts of it, and it is a Friday. So it's 11 to 11 Eastern time, and then from there you have to do the math. It starts 9 to 9 Mountain time. So for me, that's 11 to 11. I'm not going to stay there for 12 hours. But there is going to be some games because I sort of got put in charge of that. Can you tell by the expression on my face? I'm thrilled. Well, whatever. So, yeah, if you're free that day and you want to get together with a bunch of other like minded sewers and whatever, or crafters, it's open to anybody for whatever they want to do. You know, you want to paint your house and be online at the same time, you could do that, I suppose. Clean out your underwear drawer, put everything in alphabetical order. I don't know. It's happened. So that's July the 22nd coming up. Did I say July the 12th before? Or did I say July 22nd? It's July
20th. It was 22nd.
Okay. I'm having a senior's moment. Um, Derek says, I still got a Commodore Amiga in the attic with lots of 5-inch discs. Torn whether to keep it or send it to recycling. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we had a bunch of old computer equipment in crawl space, and I took it away a while ago. Maybe you should have kept it. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't think they're worth any money.
No.
With them. So, you know, it's a graveyard thing. But whatever. Now, the Amiga, didn't that come out after the Commodore 128? It was a little bit more stylish looking. They were sort of going on the coattails of the Macs at the time.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I think, because I remember thinking I would have liked one of those, but I never got one of those because then I went from a 128 Commodore to my first IBM style computer and thought I had died and gone to heaven. Paid a lot of money for it, and I upgraded the screen from the standard green to amber because that was just cool. Yeah. I think it had, 4K of memory or something. It was
I can't remember.
Like it wouldn't hold anything. Of course, in those days, programs didn't use up a lot of stuff either, not like today.
And they weren't graphic based either.
No, they weren't. But yeah, nostalgia. But anyways, we had Craft and Chat this past week. Some of you were there with us in the whole bit, and we got a lot of things done as per usual. And it was always fun. It's always fun. So that was good. And I may be having a pop-up sew day on July 16th. So that would be next weekend, next Saturday. If I do, it'll start at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it'll end, well, whenever I get bored. If you don't keep me entertained, then I'm going to end it. No, not really. Usually I go for until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. I'm kind of hoping it'll be a rainy day because then it'll be, a good day to stay inside and sew or work on things. That if it's really sunny out and it's really nice, people probably don't want to be trapped indoors because, summer comes and it goes real quick. So I don't know yet, but stay tuned because I will put up 24 hours before I decide to absolutely have it. I will put up an announcement about it. I will also send out an email to those of you that are on my pop-up sew day mailing list as well. So that would be July the 16th. And this we are making a trip to Quilter Quilting to pick up my batting came in. And of course they had a sale on AccuQuilt dies, so you know what I did? I bought another strip die, one that it's a combo. It'll do 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and 2 inch strips. And it's been out of stock for a while, and they just got it back in, and it was on sale. So I ordered that, so I'll pick that up. And they're supposed to have all their Christmas fabric in. They're doing Christmas in July. So, and that's supposed to be on Tuesday, so we're going Tuesday because it won't last. People this time of the year, they just latch on to everything on the Christmas fabric. And sorry, but my favorite quilting store, Ultimate Sewing, I don't think she's got Christmas fabric out yet. She has it. She doesn't have room to put it out. Well, you want to sell it, you got to put it out somehow. So, because I would prefer to be buying it from her, although I do love Quilter Quilting, but I am loyal to a point to Ultimate Sewing. but he's got to be there for me to buy it,
Mm.
kind of a thing. So we shall see what I get from that, and then if I do buy, well, if I do, like, like, there's no chance that I won't buy Christmas fabric. Yes, of course I'm going to buy Christmas fabric. I will do a haul video on Idiot Quilter probably the week after from that. And it's my birthday.
Yeah.
It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Yeah. Already my sister screwed up my birthday plans. My birthday's on Thursday, so that's the 14th. For those of you that know your French history, that's Bastille Day, when the French Revolution started, kind of a thing. I always say it started because they knew 200 years later I'd be born, so, you know, it's revolutionary. Yeah. Anyways, so I was taking Walter out for dinner on my birthday, and you're going to say, but shouldn't he be taking you out? Yes, he should be, but Walter's already given me my birthday present. He bought me a very expensive little add-on box for my Mac when I got that, so, you know, I figure. And plus, really, it's not costing me anything for dinner because I have gift certificates because of everything that I had purchased during COVID on my credit card, and I get points, and I was able to cash in a pile of my points for $300 worth of gift cards for the Keg, which is a steakhouse restaurant. It's one of our favorite, and it's pricey, so figured, yep, we're gonna let it all blow out. But that's what was planned for Thursday night. Then my sister sends me an email today. She goes, I know this is short notice, but we've been talking about going out for dinner. There's a little bit of money left over from my mother's estate, and I had to pay for relocation of footstones and stuff like that. So it works out to about maybe $600 left. And to divide it up amongst the three of them, us, my sister, my brother, and I, so we get $200 apiece. Well, you know, today $200 is not much. So I said to my sister, okay, there's several ways we could handle the extra money. One, I could keep it because I didn't take a fee that I'm entitled to as the executor of the will, because I could have, which I think is about 15% of the estate or something, or 5%, maybe it's 5%, something like that. But I didn't bother to take that.
It's 5%.
Yeah, 5%. Well, that still would have been a chunk of change
Mm-hmm.
there. But no, I didn't do that. And then I said, we can go out for dinner. She and her husband and her two kids, or my nephew and niece, and Walter and I. And, you know, have a nice dinner out, kind of a family thing. Now, of course, that sort of excludes my brother, but my brother's in BC, so
He never does anything anyway.
yeah, at least my sister was there to help out with things. So anyways, we decided we would do that. And so, but then we were looking for a time to coordinate this. We were pretty much flexible, but my sister was waiting. Her husband was taking holidays and his work schedule and all this stuff. So she writes me this email today and said, okay, short notice, but John's schedule, my brother-in-law's schedule has changed that. So what about Wednesday night? And she had a list of restaurants we could pick from and whatnot. And she said, and because it's your birthday too. Okay. I was sort of looking forward to doing this other thing, but figured, okay, we're going to go. So I'm going to cancel the reservation that I made for us on Thursday night, and we will go out instead for this thing, and then we'll do the Keg thing some other time down the road, and everything. The one thing that kind of bothers me, and I know this is stupid, but I'm a big stickler, I always have been, that you celebrate your birthday on the day of your birthday. You don't celebrate it before that day. You don't celebrate it after that day. It's that day. And it's just always something to me, it's always been that. So what's happening now is, yeah, we're going off for dinner on the day before, and, well, it's not a biggie, but, you know, it'll be nice. It'll be fine. with that. Since my mother passed away, I don't talk to my sister as much, and see her even less. And she doesn't live that far away from me, like
Well, that
one town
happened to
over.
me too. Is my sister doesn't live far away, but after my mom passed away, I don't talk to her that much. Actually, she never calls me. I always call
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, and so it's I think this happens to a lot of families when the parents pass on. Sometimes the siblings kind of drift apart. Now, it depends. If you were really close as kids growing up and all of that, you probably don't. We weren't unclose, but we weren't like, I wouldn't consider my sister and my brother my best friends. Some people have that relationship with their siblings, you know. I didn't have that. Maybe it was because
I
there
mean,
was 4 years apart in each of us,
for me, I used to. I didn't really used to hang around with my sister, but I did see her quite frequently in my early 20s and that. But after I met Steve, I sort of drifted apart from that. So
Yeah. And just looking at what people are saying here,
yeah, so at the very top, Shady Susan said about love the twister
this
tool.
too. I've got to make one. Yours
Yeah.
looks great. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to do. They're a little awkward in the cutting, which could be a little dangerous because when you do one of the cuts, it's kind of an awkward spot. But I tried to turn the fabric in such a way that I could avoid that, and you really can't.
Barbara says our family started with Pong for gaming.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody had
I
Pong.
think everybody had Pong. Yeah. Well, it was mesmerizing. Sit there and watch this thing go
Yeah, something to play
Boink.
on your TV screen.
boink,
Yeah.
boink. Made it because it missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teresa, we had a store in town called the Software Library. The premise was that you could sign out a program temporarily, install it, and find out if you liked it before buying it. Lots of copying there. Oh, yeah. I used to go to the library, the public library, in the summers when I was teaching, when I was off, and they had a software lending part in the library, and I would take home. A lot of it was in that day was on CD and things like encyclopedias, like Encarta, if you remember Encarta, and I'd bring them home and I'd copy the suckers, and then some of them would have you couldn't copy them because they had something built into them, but there were ways to get around that. I was a great pirater of software. At one point, I was doing a lot of, they had kids' books on CD, like they were meant for a computer. And at that point, my nephews and my nieces were just little kids. So I was copying them and I was burning them into a CD and I'd give them to them so they could use them on their computers as little kids. I am a pirate.
JD Susan.
I'm trying to catch up here. Okay, come on. Respond to me.
I think you're going
I
too
think I
far
went back too far. Just go down here. Bear with me.
No, past blurry.
Okay.
Go on, Wang, or past blurry.
Or Pastor Wang. Okay. I understand. Kids never know. Lovely.
Keep going. Keep going. Okay. She's not making up. We said the twister tool. Our family started with Pong. And then it says, I do not miss the green screen.
I don't know where we are.
Right.
Oh, there. Okay.
Here. And then Shady Susan wants to get on the email list.
Oh, okay. Shady Susan, to get on the emailing list, just send me an email. My email address is in the show notes below. And just say you want to be on the mailing list. There are 3 mailing lists. There's the Pop-Up Day, there's the Craft and Chat, and there's the retreat. And I do the retreat, an all-day retreat, twice a year. The next one will come up probably in late September, early October. So if you want to be on one or all of those, just let me know in an email, and then I can put all your information, like your name and your email address, into my contact list for those things. Okay, I'm still lost.
No. Should email us. Then it says Anna says we had the Pong.
Oh, the Pong. I'm starting with Christmas Stitch Fever. And we got a separate TV for the Atari as you had to switch from TV to game. Oh yeah, I remember that. Are you going to tape trip to fabric store? Um, I love it. Tape the trip. I say that too, because that's the old expression we used to use for recording stuff, right? Because it went to tape, and we always said, "Oh, I'm going to tape that kind of thing." And even now, I still say I'm going to video it or no, record it or something. I forget. Anyways, probably not.
You did that before, didn't
I
you?
think I did
Yeah.
do that before. The only thing is when you get in the store, I feel uncomfortable doing video of the people working there, and if there happens to be other clientele there, because you don't know how people feel about that. I mean, I can ask them in the store if they, would mind, but also I feel self-conscious because I'm sort of giving a commentary as I'm in the store. But maybe I can do a little bit outside, and maybe when we go into, they have a church, an old church that's part of the property where their quilt store is, and they use it as it's decommissioned church. They gutted it, and inside is where they can have all of their batting, and it's a huge space filled with, on every wall, all kinds of batting when they get it in. So I could probably record that so you get a sense of it. Where am I? Thank you, Laura, for the happy birthday wish. Dana says, hi, Dana. Says, if. Yeah, Dana. If not. Dirk says, I have started trying to make quilts for Christmas gifts using only solids to use up some of the stash that's spilling out of my boxes. I have to stop buying more fabric to just gaze at or stroke. Yeah, I know. It's so pretty. That's why you want it. Kathy says she's dragging out the birthdays. I vote going out both days. Well, Walter said we could do that, but I figured it was overkill for that kind of thing. I would rather, in that case, we're going to go to the keg, but not this week. We'll go maybe next week or something like that. We'll see. And Luane says, I celebrate 2 days before the actual day and 3 days after my birthday. Oh, so it's all about you, Luane. Really? Uh-huh. I know people who have it's the birthday month. They have that. Well, I mean, I don't have anything really against that. It's just me. It's because when I was a kid, that was
Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't do that because on Thursday you'll be officially old.
and you keep comments like that, and you're never going to make an officially old. I'm going to be 65, and I look marvelous at that. You just fall apart. But whatever. Yeah, birthday week. Stephen needs to be like the queen, an actual birthday to ceremonial birthday. Yeah. Can you try a tumbling blocks quilt with the solids? I want to try one someday. Oh, she's talking to Derek about that. No problem, Shady Susan. Film it. Yeah. Whatever. It's not even, yeah, film it. It's another old expression, right? You can always date somebody by the expressions we use in terms of technology, can't you? Yeah, thank you, Kathy, for that. So, anyway, speaking of age, we had some friends of ours came for the weekend. They came Saturday night, went home today, stayed overnight. We had a nice dinner and everything. And Walter is the youngster in the group at 64. I'm next at 65. Then one of our friends, he's 67. And then the other friend is turning in a week's time or so. His birthday's in July too. He turns 70. And we've known these guys for
about 37 years.
Yeah, pretty much with that. Well, we don't get there. They live in downtown Toronto, and we don't get together all that often, or even talk to them actually, for that matter. But it never fails. We always have lots to talk about when we do get together. So we're planning to get together again with them in September at on their turf, kind of a thing. But we had a nice time. We were able to sit out in the deck, and we had some charcuterie, and then Walter did his sous vide magic with steaks and shrimp. Shrimp were a little disappointing. that we got.
Yeah.
They came from Costco, and they tasted okay, but they were tiny. Like they were ones that were
Yeah, they
already
weren't
in.
very. They were
They were
like
butterflied.
flat.
Yeah, yeah, they were flat, like really flat.
Yeah.
Like what? Did a transport truck run over this
Yeah,
before
I
we
don't
got
know.
there? We started with a Caesar salad, and I made it from my baby romaine that we grow, stuff that Bunny's hadn't got to yet, with it, and we basically got pretty much plastered. Well, not that bad, but there was a point. We had a lot to drink. We started with sangria, moved our way to beer, then into wine, and yeah, just went on forever with that. But we were showing them. They hadn't been here since we got Lucy, and had changed over the craft room into the sewing room and everything. So we were explaining and demonstrating the technology for them, plus the 3D printers as well. And so that was kind of mind-boggling for them, I think, what we did there, because they're not quilters or anything like that. So, but it was nice to see them. But I'm telling you, they were talking about COVID too and how it's affected them, and they don't like to go anywhere where there's people anymore. One of them, he said won't even take the subway if he can avoid the subway and walk to wherever. He does, because he's still afraid of catching it. So it's just kind of funny how all of that has changed us, because I'm paranoid too. You know, I like to order things from Amazon because I don't have to see people with it. It's kind of sad that that's what this disease has done to us. And of course, aren't they just talking? Cheery note that by the end of the summer, we will be in a 7th wave, and they're expecting the cases to go up again. Are we ever going to get a break from this stupid thing?
Probably not.
And then we have monkeypox. Don't kiss a monkey, you'll get monkeypox. So, is it just me, or does it seem like the world is just full of disease anymore? Well, I guess it always has been. It's just that, I don't know. Really bugs me. But anyways, we had a really nice time with them. It was a nice visit. It was good to see them and everything like that. And I don't know, what else do we have coming up? Anything? You don't have any.
Jeannie says, Shady Susan, you can do any activity you want at Stephen's events. I usually quilt or knit.
Yeah.
People make cards, paint, etc.
Organize their underwear drawer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, it's not limited to just people who quilt or sew. Yeah, anybody can be on there and do whatever you want. It's a chance for you to, have a little time for yourself, but in an environment that's very friendly, supportive. We don't have any drama. We stay away from talking about politics and COVID and all this stuff, that's depressing. And we just, some people will ask a question about something they're doing to get some help. And there's always lots of help, or you always learn something new in Craft and Chat. And the pop-up sew day runs pretty much the same way. And it is a Zoom as well. It's not on YouTube. Somebody tried to connect to it at one point in time. They thought that it was a live YouTube. It's not. It's a Zoom event. So I send you, if you're on the mailing list, I'll send you your own personal note about the link. But if you're not on the mailing list, that's okay, because I'll put it in the announcement for the pop-up sew day, and 24 hours before, so the link will be there. And for the Craft and Chat, about a week before I have Craft and Chat, those always on the first Wednesday of the month, I do the same thing. It's all in the show notes of all my videos for that week beforehand. So yeah, it's easy to connect to it all. So what are people saying? Laura says we're in a 7th wave now in Ontario. Yeah, that's what they're telling us. Donna says, my son was just ready to get his 2nd booster and he got COVID again. He's in good shape and does CrossFit, where he probably got it again. Yeah, the gyms. Yep. Thank you, Colleen. He said, COVID is like you are drowning. I worry. He lives an hour and a half away from me, and I don't drive that far with health issues. Yeah. And Derek says, I was meant to be flying to the States for work next week, but have canceled it because of the rise in infections both here and at home and there. Have to travel to England last week and got anxious. Yeah, I know. It seems to be never ending. Here in our area, in that they test the water supplies, the sewage.
Sewage, yeah.
And this is how they can tell whether the number of cases now are going up, and they are, again. The hospital numbers are still very manageable, supposedly, but who knows what's happening with that. And there are still people here in our province who have not had the second shot yet, where many of us have had the third shot, and like us, have had the fourth shot. Now, the fourth shot hasn't been available for people under 60. But it looks like they're going to change that now and drop it down at least to 50 and up with it. We have no idea why our government, our provincial government,
they're cheap.
Yeah, they're cheap, whatever. And, you know, a lot of the reason why this disease is into its seventh wave is because of what our provincial government has done and not done with it. First of all, they've set up a false sense of security for people by getting rid of the, mask rules for that, allowing people to congregate again, and all that kind of stuff, and then holding back on the fourth vaccination. They have contributed to this seventh wave, in my opinion, of it all. And that's not responsible government. But then, if you know who our premier was, if you're in Ontario, you know who it is. He is an idiot. He's the Ontario version of Trump, quite frankly, with that. So there you go. And then, of course, we have our own fair share of yahoos who, still think that their personal freedoms are being stepped on if they've been told they should wear a mask in a public environment and everything like that. Idiots. But I'm just tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. Like, you don't want to have to go out now. Now you go out and you go, okay, should I wear a mask here, or can I get away without a mask? And you look around, there's a whole ton of people not wearing masks. So you kind of stand out like a sore thumb, and, peer pressure, the whole bit on that. So I still wear a mask when we go to a grocery store. Or like Costco, something like that. When I was in the quilt store, smaller environment, I don't really wear my mask. I have it with me. But none of the staff are wearing masks either. So it's Russian roulette. It's really just Russian roulette. Let's see, backing up. Into land. How many cases of monkeypox in Pittsburgh? Yeah, this monkeypox thing again.
Yeah, I just looked it up in Ontario. We've got 101 cases.
It's going up with that, and then it's a derivative of smallpox, right?
Yeah.
So as kids, we were all vaccinated for smallpox. It was automatic. Again, you weren't asked if you wanted to be vaccinated for smallpox as a kid. It was just understood you were going to be. They did them in the schools. The whole bit, we'd all be lining up in the gym to get the shots, and we had other shots we got too in those days. Now there's all these people.
Yeah, and I had when I was a kid, I had to get all kinds of shots because my parents were from Europe, and if we didn't go back very often. But when we in 1967 we went back and to my parents' country. And I had to get all kinds of shots to be able to fly there.
Yeah, we used to, and we didn't question.
And it wasn't a choice. I had to have the shots. Otherwise, if you didn't have the shots, you're not going there.
And then there's all these anti-vaxxers, and I'm just not talking about anti-vaxxers for like COVID. I'm talking about the whole movement of anti-vaxxers. Yeah, well, they'll give my kid autism or all this kind of stuff. Well, yeah, some kids do have some allergic reactions or something like that. It does happen. But, do you want your kid to get smallpox or monkeypox or something like that? And they're saying that they're not sure now. When they first came out and said that monkeypox, I want to call it monkey paws. So if I say monkey paws, I mean monkeypox. That some those of us that had been vaccinated for smallpox, they felt that we were pretty much protected from monkeypox. But now they're saying they're not really sure.
They're not sure
because we were vaccinated 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So you don't know. And just another, you've heard me say this before, medical science, not that long out of the Middle Ages. They really don't know what the hell they're doing. They really don't. And that's been pretty much apparent with COVID. So now we have monkeypox. Great. I don't know. It's too much to handle anymore, it seems. Derek says, Donna says, do you have to wait 5 months? It's crazy. What, for the fourth shot? Yeah, we had to wait between the third and the fourth shot. We had to wait.
It was 3 months.
I think it was 3 months.
Yeah.
They made us. Yeah, it wasn't 5. Derek says, a colleague who's visiting Canada just now said they are so impressed by how strict Canada is at airports, public transport, etc., compared to other countries. Yes, but there's a lot of people that are bitching about that left and right, and they're the ones that drive their trucks to Ottawa and turn a Canadian flag upside down and cause all kinds of havoc in that, the yahoos out there. Because, their personal freedoms and rights are being stepped upon. I don't think so. In comparison to governments around the world, Canada, we have a lot of freedoms in this country. We're one of the freest countries in the world with that. So, what more do you want? Do your part as a good citizen. Get the vaccine, you idiots. Donna says, I don't think we're having a third shot. I will take it if it comes out. Well, that's interesting. We're up to 4 now. So once the shots were being given by doctor, once the shots were being given, my doctor made appointments before I even had to ask. Well, that's good. That's proactive. Barb says, I still have the mark on my arm from a shot at school. I think, wasn't that TB?
Yeah, I had one I had to take for Europe, and it was a big round thing.
Yeah.
And it had a whole pile of needles.
Yeah, there were like 6 needles in there. So I remember that one hurt like a bitch.
Yeah, and I had to have that to go to Europe.
And then it scabbed up. And it was supposed to be part of the process when I can't remember what that meant. And then it left a scar on it. I don't have that scar anymore. But yeah, everybody that got the shot had that. Anna says polio vaccine on a sugar cube, also at school.
I don't recall that. No. Or I did recall that we remember years ago they had those guns where they shoot you in the arm for vaccines.
No.
Oh yeah, they did at my school.
I never got a gun
shot. They had this gun they stuck in.
Or I don't think. Well, maybe they did. I never looked at them.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I definitely was afraid.
But they don't seem to use those anymore. I don't know why, but
I don't know. Colleen says she went to Europe as a child and needed lots of vaccines and needed more to return to Canada 4 years later. No time for anti-vax attitudes. No, I don't either. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, like I still have at home. I was going through a box I took from my mom's place, and inside there is my vaccinations, World Health Organization vaccination status in there, and I had to have that card filled out to travel to Europe.
Well, that's the thing. And then there's the ones for religious reasons and the whole bit. Well, go to a private school. Because in a public school system, I would get things with my homeroom all the time that were letters that said from the school board, take this home to your parents. Your vaccinations are not up to date, or you haven't been vaccinated. You will not be allowed back into school, into a classroom, until you have proven that you have been vaccinated. And there'd be an uproar from these parents. And one thing I'll say about the school board I work for, they stuck to that ruling. They weren't allowed back in until they could prove that they'd been vaccinated. And in many cases, it was supposedly on religious grounds. Well, fine, but you're in a public system, so no. Public system is run by the government. So you got to obey the government if you're going to live here. If you're that concerned, then you should remove your child from the public school system and put them into a school that is suits your belief system, and work with that. Derek says, one problem with medical science is that lots of our normal or average values are still those of historic 21-year-old 70-kilogram males, rather than representing the true variety of humans across the globe. I'm not really understanding the reference to historic 21-year-old 70 kilograms. If you're saying that they are values that are instilled in it by cisgender white men, then I get your point on that. I thought, the cat says, I thought that one was smallpox. My scar's gone too.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not sure what. I'm not sure what that needle was anymore. I was young when I had it done, so I have no.
Yeah.
I don't.
So was I. I don't.
It could have been smallpox. It could have been tuberculosis. I can't remember.
I don't remember it because we got a whole herd of them when we were kids. You know, we got polio, we got tuberculosis, we got smallpox.
I was never. I never got a mumps shot because that didn't come out until after.
And I had the mumps as a kid.
And I didn't have it. So
I had it on one side. At least they thought it was.
And I had chicken pox.
Oh yeah, we all had chicken pox as well. And that's something else that kids and measles. And now I think there is a vaccine for measles. What?
No, my mom thought I was having a heat rash and I had red measles.
Oh.
And she sent me up to play with the kids.
Oh, give it to everybody in the neighborhood. Yeah. Of course, that was how you got those childhood diseases. Yeah. You got them. I brought them home from school and gave them to my brother. My sister wasn't around at that point. So he got chickenpox. He got measles and stuff like that, too. That was just how it was kind of done. I mean, it wasn't done on purpose. That's how you got a childhood disease. You went to school and you came home all covered in spots and everything like that. And Luane says, I still have mark on my left arm from the shot machine they used when you do basic training in the Air Force. The said don't move or tense up. They said don't move or tense up your arm. Okay. And Marie says, yeah, it was smallpox that left a scar. Okay. Wasn't sure. Couldn't remember about that. But anyways, it seems like we need to go back to mandatory vaccines for all of these different diseases because obviously monkeypox is related to smallpox. They stopped doing smallpox vaccinations in most of the world because they felt that it had been wiped out. Well, essentially, it hasn't been wiped out, I think. I think we all have it in us, but it's controlled. But if somebody like from Mars, like read Ray Bradbury, The Martian Chronicles, when they get to Mars, they wipe out all the Martians with smallpox because the humans all have that, even though they're somewhat immune to it, the Martians aren't, and so it kills them. It's kind of ironic in that. Barb says, you wanted your kids at a young age to get chickenpox. Yeah, that was true. Yeah. Apparently, speaking of that kind of thing, there are people who have COVID parties because they're under the belief that if once you've had COVID, you can't get it again, which is they're proving is not true. It doesn't work like some of the other things, that you can build up a natural immunity to it. And so they have these parties where everybody goes around and tries to get COVID. Okay. That sounds intelligent, doesn't it? No, not really. Kathy says she had chickenpox as a kid, and then again when my daughter got it. Boy, was I sick. Yeah, and apparently this is how you get shingles too, because shingles
Shingles can be triggered by getting exposed to
chicken pox. And yeah, and Anna says she got the shingles vaccine this month. I had chicken pox as a baby. Yeah, I had chicken pox as a kid. I actually had shingles. Well, what my doctor suspected was shingles, but a very mild case of it back many, many years ago as an adult. I was in a little bit of pain, but not as severe. My brother-in-law got shingles, and he was just any movement at all just about killed him with that. But we've both have had the shot now for that too. Loanne says, no, wait. Donna says, I was 15 when I got the measles. They quit giving smallpox vaccine and I want it for my daughter and they said no. Yeah. And Luane says, I know the mums had a chickenpox party back in the late 60s when the kids spent the night to get it. Oh, yeah.
I never heard of that.
No, I've never heard of that either, but I've heard this thing about the COVID thing, so same idea. Dan is really lucky. My mom wrote down all my shots in my baby book, which I now have. Yeah, actually, I hadn't thought about that, Dana, but my mother wrote down all that too, and I have my baby book. Should take a look at that and see what it is. I forgot all about that. Because that was something mothers did back in the days. They had these baby books, right? Oh, yeah. I know that shingles can be extremely painful. And Needlesmith had the shingles vaccine. Insurance paid for the first one, but not the second. Cost her $240. Ours is free.
Well, no.
It's
the
like
one that they have two versions. They have the older version.
One that works and one that doesn't?
That's free after you're 65. And then they have the newer version, which is the Shinrex. And it's expensive. I can't remember how much it was. But my insurance covered most of it. So,
yeah. Something like that should be all part of in our province, our healthcare thing. But, they try to save money one way or another. But anyway, so cheery thought today, talking about vaccines and everything like that. I'm going to focus on my birthday. Yay, it's my birthday. Actually, I'm not looking forward to this birthday. I'm not looking forward to 65. This is the only birthday really that I've ever had that really bugs me. Kind of a thing. Nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, because it's originally the official retirement day.
Yeah.
It's the one that you supposedly get some discounts, but nowadays a lot of places don't give you discounts anymore.
And stuff. But I do get OAS, Old Age Security, at the end of the month. I get my first check for that. Well, that's wonderful because my teacher's pension is reduced when you turn 65 because CPP, Canada Pension Plan, kicks in and they bridge the difference between what your pension really is and CPP until you're 65, and then that bridge quits on my pension because you're getting CPP. But the thing is, I took my CPP early. I started getting it at 60 because Walter recommended that I do, which you get it at a reduced rate if you take it early. And what was your philosophy? I could be dead and not get any or something?
Yeah, Teresa says 65 is just a number, don't sweat it.
Yeah, well, I can't do anything about it.
It's not like you can stop getting older.
Well, like my mother always used to say in the nursing home, she would say, Stephen, you don't want to ever get old. And I said to my mother, what's the alternative? Think about it. Well, she's taken the alternative, so yeah, there you go. But anyways, we got to go. So thanks everybody for joining us, and watch for an announcement about Pop-Up So Dave for next Saturday, maybe. And, well, we'll see everybody next week. Okay, so bye, y'all. Say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye.